Hello, this is Grant Hughes of Grant Hughes Investigates on YouTube. Please do me a favor and hit that like button, share, and subscribe to my channel. I would really appreciate it. Today's video is what I think is a pretty good theory on what Shamsud-Din Jabbar was doing in his terrorist attack on New Year's Day, early morning hours, around 3:16 in the morning, in New Orleans on Bourbon Street. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to play portions of the press conference, but I put things in the order in the timeline that things happened, and you'll see different surveillance footage shots, etc. So here we go. And this is, if you've already seen this, will be a little bit of a repeat from a video I made yesterday, but not the theory. So make sure to watch the entire video so you get to the theory. Then I'll post the link at the end to yesterday's video that showed where each of his, in October and November, his videos using the Meta glasses, where those were taken. I show that in that video, and then I'll actually show you again in this one. But quicker. I won't prove to you, I'll just show you where they were.
Jabbar made at least 2 trips to New Orleans in the months prior to the attacks. One in October and the other a month later in November of 2024.
Okay, this is clip 1. There's 4 different clips in here from 4 different portions of the town of New Orleans. So right now he's just walking with the glasses on. And then here's clip number 2. And this one's interesting because this is on Governor Nichols Street that he starts on and then turns and then is heading back towards the main part of the city. And this was the hardest one to find, but I used those 2 towers in the background to figure it out. And this is clip number 3. This is actually down near where the vehicle turns onto Bourbon Street. He appears to be walking away from perhaps scouting out that area. And this is clip number 4. All right, now on the map up here, the first location is right here, St. Louis Street and Bourbon Street, just a little distance, just walking from here to about right there. The second clip is way up here, and interestingly, he is on the Governor Nichols Street, which is the same area. Right here is where he was filmed 3 different times that we see in the press conference, walking this direction. And then he is here on Nichols Street, and he's actually facing this direction, heading down the street, and you can see those are those 2 tall buildings in the background. So he's walking this direction. Then the third clip that we saw from his glasses is all the way down here, right next to where he turned in on Bourbon Street. Right down here, he just drives a little bit of distance right there, and then the clip ends. And then clip 4 is right here, starting there and ending right there. Okay, so let's get back to the video. This is clip 4, just about to end. And then we'll hear more timeline information.
Jabbar is seen on December 31st at one of multiple gun stores he visited in Texas, leading up to the attack. Jabbar then stopped at a business in Texas where he purchased one of the ice chests he would later use to hide the IEDs.
So it sounds like he picked up one of the ice chests, probably the one that he's pulling with the wheels. He purchased that on the way to New Orleans. Sounds like it was in Texas.
Jabbar is estimated to have entered Louisiana on December 31st, 2024 at approximately 2:30 p.m. He rented a vehicle that was seen again in Gonzales, Louisiana around 9 p.m. on December 31st.
So when he says rented a vehicle, is he talking about the truck or is there another unidentified vehicle?
By 10 p.m., home camera footage shows Jabbar unloading the white pickup truck in New Orleans outside of the Mandeville Street rental home in the St. Roch neighborhood.
Okay, now that location is right here. So he was loading stuff into this Airbnb right in that area
Of New Orleans.
At 12:17, the Nest thermostat converted over from heat to cool. Through the whole time and during his stay, the weather had been cold, and the heat was running inside that residence. It changed roughly 2 minutes after he left because the thermostat indicated that the temperature.
So they believe he left that Airbnb for good at 12:15 and that he'd set a fire, and by 12:17 there was enough flames in there to actually change the thermostat to start cooling the house.
Was rising inside the residence, and it tried to keep up with the fire that was growing inside. Let me explain what happened with the fire. He used an open flame in the linen closet area next to the washer and dryer in a closed-off hallway centered into the residence. This hallway leads into different rooms of the house: bedrooms, the front room, the kitchen. Using this open flame in the linen area, this caused the fire to grow. He also set a half-gallon of accelerant gasoline in a plastic gasoline container in that hallway. He also poured accelerant in different rooms throughout the house. We believe he did this, and his hope was to burn the entire house down and hide evidence of his crimes. As the fire grew in this closed-off area, it eventually ran out of oxygen and fuel, and it smothered itself before it spread to the accelerants that were placed in the other rooms. That's why the house did not burn down.
At 12:41 a.m. on New Year's morning, Jabbar parked the truck and walked to Royal and Governor Nichols Street.
All right, but notice right here at 1:12 he does not have the cooler with him, but he's walking away from somewhere. And it sounds like they think he's walking away from wherever he parked his vehicle. And that's at 1:12. And it only takes about 11 minutes.
Jabbar placed the first IED in the cooler at Bourbon and St. Peter Street at 1.
Yeah, so it takes like 9 to 11 minutes or so to walk from Governor Nichols Street down to this area. Now he's in this area here, wherever this is, at 1:48, because I could see it on the surveillance camera time frames. This is like 1:48, almost 1:49, but then he moves it, and then at 1:53 leaves it.
1:53 a.m.
And so you'll see him standing here for a little bit, and he's just, I'm not sure what he's doing. One of the things that's pretty interesting, though, is right there. You see him moving it away, and then at 1:53, he seems to find the place that he wants to leave it. Yeah, so right now we're into the 1:49 a.m. time frame. And then he walks, and then this is the 1:53 time frame. Now here he does something that I think is interesting, is he's waving to people or somebody. Is he just acting? Because see the lady in the background, she's got her hand in the air too. Is he just pretending to be part of that as a distraction so he could leave the cooler there? He didn't want to leave it there and start walking away. He wanted to look like he was part of the crowd. And then look at it right now, it's 2:03. That's the exact amount of time as if he had left it there and walked without stopping directly back to here. Now where does he go for the next 4 or 5 minutes? Because here he comes at 2:07 and 49 seconds. Now it turns out that I thought he had left the other cooler at 2:28, but it's actually 2:20, which is exactly the amount of time it would take to walk from here.
Jabbar placed the second IED in a bucket-type cooler at 2:20 a.m. on Bourbon and Toulouse Streets. At 3:15 a.m., Jabbar used his pickup truck as a lethal weapon before crashing into the construction equipment and was stopped by the brave men and women of NOPD.
And there's a shot from above. Obviously, those people were off to the left there in that other building when they were looking at that car.
At 5:18, neighbors smelled smoke in the air, and they're the ones who contacted 911. And that's when New Orleans Fire Department showed up at this residence and put out the smoldering fire that was there. And that's when they observed the materials inside the house and contacted FBI and ATF, and we secured that location.
Yeah, so now let's take a look at what this all means. So at 12:15, he leaves the Airbnb right here at 1329 Manville Street, and he set a fire, but the lack of oxygen where the fire was set, I guess, put out the flames, but it never caught on to all the other incendiary units, I guess, like the gas cans, etc., that would have taken down the whole building. And I think he did this for two reasons: to hide who he was, but he was just there for a short amount of time. But maybe that's what he used to put together his pipe bombs, something like that. But he also did it as a diversion. So he set it to sort of slowly burn until it really caught fire. And, that would have directed resources from downtown, which is just right here. So the fire department would have been there. A lot of police officers would have rushed up there, because this is after midnight now, and it would have brought resources up there as a diversion. Then he takes his vehicle and he parks it somewhere around here. It seems like it's over in this area. Then you see him walking by here at 112 without a cooler, and he goes this direction. We know that with one of his surveillance trips using the meta glasses, he drives this direction and then turns and goes this direction. So he's familiar with this street right here, Governor Nichols Street. And we see him walk by at 112 and go this direction. Now, did he turn directly down Bourbon Street? I think it's very possible that's exactly what he did. I think he went right down Bourbon Street, this direction, and then he set the first pipe bomb at 153. Now, it only takes 10 minutes to get down there, so I don't know where the gap in time is, because he got down there about 40 minutes later, so there's 30 minutes of missing time when he placed that first pipe bomb at 153, but we do see him at 148 also, so it's about 25 minutes of missing time. So we see that, and then he walks back up at exactly the amount of time it takes. It takes 10 minutes. Walks up here, and then 203, he's going this direction to somewhere, right? And then he comes back 4 minutes later. So what is over here? Is this where his vehicle is, and he's gathering something? He's definitely not getting the cooler, right? Because he's heading this direction, and then he goes this direction and doesn't have it. So after he passes here at 208 going this direction, he doesn't have his cooler. But he picked it up without breaking a stride, the second cooler, because he walks this direction and he walks further. So it takes 10 minutes to get to here, but probably another 3 minutes to get here. And 13 minutes later, he puts the second cooler in this area. All right, now it would take another 10 or 11 minutes to walk back up here. So that would be, let's see, he gets down there at 220. So let's just say 235. He makes it back to his truck up here. And then what does he do now? I think he just sits around and prepares, makes sure that he's got everything in working order, spends, half hour or so doing that. And then maybe 3:06, 3:07, maybe, spend 35, 40 minutes at his truck, who knows. And then I think he drove down this direction perhaps. Maybe the car was over here, but he goes down Royal Street, just like this, in the pickup truck. This is just a theory, because he scouted that street, and he goes all the way down to Canal Street, takes a right, and then that's when he busts up, goes around the barrier onto the sidewalk, hitting some people right there. Then he just guns it, and he starts mowing down people, killed 14 people, and then he crashes into a construction site right here. But he intended to go through Conti, he intended to go through St. Louis Street, and then what he was going to do was start setting off the pipe bombs. After he drove through Toulouse Street, he would set off the pipe bomb, causing a diversion. Then he would go through St. Peter Street, set off a pipe bomb as he kept driving this direction. Now it's interesting though, because a random citizen, as FBI referred to, moved the cooler from here to here. So it would have been sort of interesting to see what would have happened when Jabbar drove through St. Peter Street and set it off. It would have detonated right there, trapping him in the area. But he intended to get through here, and while people were sifting through the explosion to see what the hell happened, he was going to drive back up here, and then I think wherever he was going, wherever he was storing the coolers and the bombs, because he never had them when he's walking this direction, it seems like he was going to maybe switch vehicles at that point, because everybody would be looking for the Ford F-150, right? So maybe he drove up here, got in, was going to get into another vehicle, and then he would drive away in that vehicle where he was storing the cooler and the pipe bombs. But we have no indication that there was another vehicle. But there's something odd about the area up here. What was he doing over here? And then he'd walk without a cooler, but then end up with a cooler down in this area. And we know that specifically on the 208 going this way, he does not have a cooler. And he gets here exactly when he's supposed to get there. So that means he was able to get a cooler on the way somehow. And so that's what makes me think, makes me think that there's another area that he's storing the coolers, or is there another vehicle? Because after he, busted through this direction with his Ford 150, the electric version, up here, he would then need to change vehicles so he wouldn't be caught. So I don't know if he had all that planned out. Perhaps there's another vehicle sitting around on a street somewhere that nobody's determined yet. But I definitely would make sure that there isn't one, because he could have put explosives in that vehicle as a countermeasure in case he never made it back to the vehicle. So let me know in the comment section what you guys think about this theory. But I think that is almost exactly what he did. I definitely am not sure about if there's a vehicle or just a place he was hiding the coolers on Bourbon Street here, where he would just pick them up as he went down. He did surveil this area here, and it seems like that's the street that the truck may have taken down, because it's not Bourbon Street, it's a side street. But the investigation will let us know. So hopefully we'll get more information coming out soon. So if you could do me a favor, you guys, and leave a comment in the comment section. Let me know what you think. If you could hit that like button, I would really appreciate it. And definitely share the video and let other people theorize as well. All right, so leave a comment, and I appreciate all of you. And as I always say, everybody, until next time, be safe out there.